In many courses, you need to learn a lot of new concepts, terminology, and vocabulary. Self-testing with concept cards can help you learn this kind of material. This video focuses on how to make and use concept cards to improve your learning. What is a concept card? If you've ever used flashcards in school, you basically know what a concept card looks like. It's a note card. On one side is a question about a concept, and on the opposite side is an answer. With this strategy, you make cards that correspond to major course concepts and use them to test yourself throughout the semester. Suppose there are 15 major concepts on an upcoming test. You make one or more cards for each concept. Each time you study, you go through your deck, read each question, say your answer, and then check it by looking back at the answer on the card. Concept cards are an efficient way to learn important concepts and terminology by testing yourself multiple times. Before looking at how to use concept cards, it's important to think about how to make good ones. Your concept cards will serve as practice questions for self-testing. Consequently, you want to make sure you have good material for practicing. Basically, a good concept card meets two criteria. First, a card should focus on key course concepts. Second, a card should be consistent with the depth of knowledge expected in your course. Let's look at each of these. The first point is obvious. Concept cards should encompass the major concepts and terminology you need to learn, but which concepts are most important is not always obvious in a course. Usually there is far more content in a class than anyone can learn. This means that you have to sort through the material and decide which concepts are most important, which ones are test-worthy. Identifying and gathering information about each concept will take a bit of time. To minimize the time, here are a couple of suggestions. First and foremost, pay attention to what your instructor emphasizes in class and explicitly identifies as important. Second, at the end of each class period or reading assignment, take a minute to reflect on what were the major ideas. The advantage is the information is still fresh, so you can actually write a few concept card questions and jot down initial answers using your class notes. On a personal note, as a teacher, I developed a habit of writing a couple of test questions after each class period. This made it much easier to make good exam questions and was much less stressful and less tedious than trying to write an entire exam a few days before the test. And a third recommendation is to compare notes with other students to see if their judgments about the most important concepts and topics are consistent with yours. A second feature of good concept cards is that they align with expectations in your class. Suppose I'm taking a class about learning strategies and encounter material about self-testing. One thing I could do is make a concept card that defines self-testing. Here it is. What is self-testing? It's a learning strategy in which you recall previously learned information from memory. If, in this class, I'm expected to know the definitions of various learning strategies, then this type of card does the job, and I can make similar concept cards for other learning strategies. This type of basic knowledge card would be useful in situations where you need to know basic factual information, such as words in a second language, mathematical formulas, and specialized terminology in a subject area. On the other hand, most college courses expect that you know more than definitions and require greater breadth and depth of knowledge about course concepts. So if that's the case, then the basic knowledge cards won't get you very far. Back to my learning strategies course example, what kind of concept card will help me develop greater depth of knowledge about self-testing? As I read about self-testing, I encounter information about how and why it works, different types of self-testing strategies, research evidence about its effectiveness, and a number of other related concepts. Clearly, one card won't suffice. I need a set of concept cards to capture the scope and complexity of self-testing. Here are the concept cards I come up with. As you can see, each card zeroes in on a specific aspect of self-testing, but the cards do not include complete information about each aspect. Instead, they have enough information to cue my memory, to remind me of what I know about self-testing. Cumulatively, these cards could focus on deep knowledge of self-testing. This approach of using multiple cards on each concept is appropriate when you need greater breadth and depth of understanding. If used appropriately, concept cards can be an efficient, convenient, and effective tool for self-testing. Here are 4 recommendations to help you use them effectively. First, test yourself each time you study. Take some time during every study session to practice with concept cards. It doesn't have to be the whole session, but carve out a little bit of time to practice. Second, try to recall the answers before looking at the answers. The key to self-testing is trying to recall information from memory. Always try to recall an answer before looking back at the answer on the card. Every time you self-test, you improve your knowledge. Third, keep practicing. Don't drop cards from your stack. A good rule of thumb proposed by some researchers is to practice until you answer a card correctly 9 times, 3 times correctly in 3 different study sessions. And fourth, practice throughout the semester. Concept cards are an excellent learning strategy to prepare for a final exam. If you practice throughout the semester, you'll know the concepts very well by the end of the term. You won't need to cram and try to relearn all the concepts just before the final. This chart summarizes how to optimize your learning when using concept cards. The left column indicates what you should try to do, and the right column indicates what you should try not to do. I'm not going to read this. You can pause the video to review the table at your convenience. It's a tool for you. Okay, what did you learn from this short video? Pause the video and take a few minutes to answer these practice questions. Replay the video to check your answers. I'll read the questions, and then you can take the quiz. First, describe 2 important features of good concept cards. Second, explain the difference between basic knowledge and deep knowledge concept cards. And third, name as many ways as you can to optimize your learning when you self-test with concept cards. Again, pause the video to answer the questions and replay to check your answers. For more information about self-testing and also about other effective learning strategies, go to takinglearningseriously.com.